Sure. Yeah, cool. Hi, welcome to this session. So I'm Nithin R, and basically this is a session where I talk about landing your first cybersecurity internship and how I landed basically, and then how you could also do the same. Not exactly the same, but then you could probably just get enough information about how I did it, and then maybe use that experience for your own good. I think that is the end. The motive of this goal with me is basically to help people, and then if there is anybody like me who didn't know how to get started at the first, and maybe just to help people like me, and also if it helps anybody else, I'd be pretty happy with that too. So before I start, just a quick, introduction to me. So I am Nithin. Yeah, also human as well. At least I would like to call myself one. Yeah. So also I go by the handle of the Binary Bot in socials. Pretty much in Twitter. You could also find me at the same ID in Discord. The ID is the Binary Bot /3541. And then yeah, I think that is pretty much my socials. And also I'm a student at BSc Tech, basically doing a 5 years theoretical computer science course, and then I'm at the final semester now. So one would like to ask how much experience do I have, or how qualified I am to talk on this. Basically, I did I did two things. First one is a research internship at the National University of Singapore, and the second one is I'm presently interning at Calvia Technologies. I don't have a lot of experience per se, like other people in the other people in the session. For example, Zishan was there, and then we have Harsh yesterday, and then a lot of people were there. All of those people are damn impressive in their work, but then I'm just starting a lot of you, just like a lot of you, and then maybe I could connect a lot with a lot of you here. So that's basically it. I did these two things. In the first one, the research internship at the National University of Singapore, it's a pretty prestigious university. I think it's the fifth prestigious, no, fifth or fourth, I'm not entirely sure. It's the fifth or the fourth most prestigious universities in Asia or in the globe, but it's got a lot of prosperity and name in the market. And then I'm currently at Calvia Technologies. They're a startup, and then they do really good work at autonomous deception, etc. Just recently started interning there. And the thing about this internships is the first one was a research internship, basically, in which what I was doing was doing work that's related to publishing research paper, and then sitting and working things at the laboratory, etc., etc. It's mostly studying on security, but it's not applying, or it's basically academic work sort of per se. And then the second one is a completely field sort of internship. So there is a lot of distinction between the research internship and a internship based on the field. So I think since I did both, I think I would be pretty qualified to guide people on both of the paths per se. And then if you have any questions, you could very well throw at me. I'll be happy to answer. And yeah, so that's basically it. That's about me. And let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So diving into the topic, landing your first cybersecurity internship. Well, on the whole context, I think there are basically two different entire branches to which you can research, you could intern in. The first one is research internship, and the second one basically say field-based internship. Um, so the difference between both is, in a research internship, what you do is you basically try to publish papers, academic papers, and then you could start as a research assistant, and then probably become a security researcher. And then the meaning obviously is basically to study lots, to figure out new things, figure out new malwares, exploits, etc., etc., and then basically work in a lab, and then produce a lot of information. It's basically research in a naive point. And then tutor, obviously, as we know, is a teacher who passes learned wisdom to all of his students. So that's basically what a researcher would do. It's a lot of academic work per se. And the second, we have field-based internship. Field is mostly, for example, there's a lot of opportunities in the field. When we take cybersecurity, there is there is incident and response team. We have web penetration testers, and then we have network penetration testers, etc., etc. There's a lot of opportunities when we come out to the market and apply things. And one of the very best resources that I had and have been marked and bookmarked and stored in my notes and everything is this particular tweet by Katie Paxton. In this tweet, Katie, by and large, has this entire what do I call a roadmap per se through which you could look and figure out what are the different career paths. I think this very important link, and then you could use it very well to your advantage. So that is basically on a larger picture. This is the entire difference between research and field. The research is purely academic mostly, and then field is you apply all of the learned knowledge, do groundwork, and then um, it's mostly applying the learned knowledge sort of thing. So I could maybe take a quick pause and then stop for a quick Q&A maybe, if you have anything on this. Anybody, anything? Well, okay, cool. I think it's good to go. I don't think anybody has one. But then, yeah, if you have one, feel free to drop by in the chat. I'd be happy to pick it up. So moving further, we have so first we're going to discuss about how to what are the do's and don'ts in a research internship, and then how you could get one. The first one is basically figuring out if you want to work in a laboratory environment or you want to be connected to a professor. Ultimately, both of them mean the same. Yeah, ultimately both of them mean the same. Also in a laboratory, you're basically going to work with the professor. You'll be somebody who's assisting you. You'll be able to um, you know you'll be able to yeah, it's basically getting in touch up with the professor, and then whatever the work he's doing, you could very well bring that up, or you could do something novel and then use the assistant of the professor. But then if you're connected directly to a professor, you wouldn't have a lot of laboratory opportunities, as in you won't be able to test whatever you've learned. You won't be able to mostly, I think, code as well. But then it's mostly supporting him in his research. It'd be like he'll be basically assisting you to do a certain task, etc., etc., which support his research work, and then you'll also be added as a author. So that is basically just getting associated to a professor. And the second one in do's is this is like really important. After figuring out if you want to do a laboratory based research internship or a professor based research internship, you have to do a lot of background research. What I mean by a lot of background research is, well, if you're doing a laboratory based internship, background research could be finding out the prerequisites that is already listed in the laboratory page, or else you could also learn about what they're doing, or what's the recent project they worked on, etc., etc., and then you could very well use that knowledge in the interview as well, and then affirm your position basically. So when you know that when somebody knows that you have did a lot of background work at them, uh, they would obviously want to get you on board because you've already shown them a lot of promise. So that is basically the idea behind background research. If you're doing a background research on a professor, then what do you want to do is check out what's the recent publication that he's made, what's the underlying topic that he always likes working on, etc., etc. All of the technical information that he can retrieve from a professor would be especially helpful. And then post that, we need to study on the topic, right? If you want to if you know that you like a particular laboratory and then you want to work, you obviously want to get all the prerequisites checked, and then you want to work more on what they're currently building, or grab every information known possible. And then we have yeah, if it's laboratory, obviously, as I mentioned before, you need to definitely check the requirements. That is super helpful and important as well. And when moving to don'ts, we have first one as random apply. So what random apply means is, I've seen quite a couple of folks at my college who uh, what they basically used to do is they have a single template of their work, what they've done, etc., etc., and then they just publish that to all known people. And then um, known people, as in they'll be just publishing that information to all professors, laboratories, etc., etc. It's just basically doing a bombardment to all of their mails, socials, etc., etc. I wouldn't, not just strongly, but then totally advise on it, because it doesn't help you in any way. Basically, it's just you marketing yourself, and nobody would be a lot interested if you don't have such a rich profile. And you wouldn't basically, obviously end up getting a lot of investment on the information that you've already passed on. So I wouldn't really advise on random applying. So what you could probably do is a lot of customization. So in the don'ts, by customization, I mean to say that if you don't do customization, then it's also not going to be a lot of effort. You need to have a customized template of writing. You need to have a customized mail to send to a particular professor and then just to make it more relatable with the work that he does. So when it comes to customization, as I've mentioned before, once you study on the professor, once you get to know what he's been working on, what his last worked on, etc., etc., you could just simply format a mail such as respected sir, etc., etc. This is Nithin. I do this, and then I just saw that you were doing this work previously, and then I really liked the work you did, and then now it looks like you're working on another project, and then the requirements for this project is this topic one, topic two, topic three. It's great to see that you're doing this, and then I would also like to assist you in the same, and then tell that you have an internship period for this month in the academic part of you, if you have one, or if you just want to intern just for the sake of experience as well. You could just say that I want to do this to gain experience, etc., etc. I think that would be um, quick customization, and customization of your mail, so that if you like, you can't basically use the same, and you can't basically use the same text to another professor. It wouldn't make sense, because he would have worked on something else, and then you don't want to basically mix and match them. That wouldn't work, and that would also be so bad on your part if you do that. So strongly don't advise. And then customization of resume is basically, if you're sending your resume to a laboratory or a professor, etc., if you have any projects that you've recently did on that particular topic, the laboratory is working on, or the professor is working on, you have to make sure that you include that information in your resume, because it, once again, as I said before, adds a lot of value when you're presenting yourself. And then since they can relate with the work you did, there are high chances that you make it, and then others who are just random apply don't. uh, so that's basically the idea behind how you have to send your resume, how you have to basically mail to different people. And then yeah, as the topic also says, landing a first internship do's and don'ts, we have this for the research section of the internships. Now, moving on to the field section of internships, we have do's and don'ts as well. The first one, obviously, is to, when it comes to field, what I've seen is that we need to have tons and tons of information always on our fingertips. It's basically, once you're getting in touch with the company, as in when you schedule meetings, etc., etc., they would first like to know how much you actually know. And that testing is basically done with the fundamentals of web app testing and network pen testing, etc. And for example, in the positions that I've applied to, this is how they asked me OS top 10, what is OS top 10 in the web apps, and then what is OWASP top 10 in the APIs, and then also a lot of information. I mean, enough information on API is also helpful. I've seen people ask a lot about that. And also, I think generic information on coding, etc., also is pretty informative, especially if you know Python and all. It's super informative because a lot of people who in the field, if you're getting a work that needs to work on the building or back end sort of a thing, you could very well they could very well use that information as well. And then when it comes to network, there are, so basically in the field as well, we could entirely segregate as web and then network. Also, not entirely, but then the major part that you need to get yourself checked with is these two things. And then when it comes to network, the one and the godly reference that I've seen is book.hatrix.xyz. It's an information dump on security. Basically, that's how we regard it. Information about anything in the mostly in securities you'd find here. You also have a pen testing methodology, and then it's basically just ton of information on pen testing, network, etc. So a definite check and reference thing, totally suggested, highly suggested. And the second one is, when it comes to also network, you need to have a lot of basics on the kind of tools that you use, because I think myself and also a couple of my colleagues or colleagues and my college mates as well were asked on the basics of tool. For example, like what nmap does, what does what are, have you used im packet, what are the different packets in im packet, and then maybe probably just ask how do you intercept information, what tool you use, how do you check the packets, etc. Talk a lot about Wireshark, etc., etc. So all the basic tools, I think if you just do a simple Google search, you'd get to know what are the basic tools that's available and running on in the industry. So I think doing a little bit of research on them would also be highly helpful. And also, apart from this, since I already mentioned top 10 on web, it would also be pretty helpful to know how the vulnerability is being done. I mean, what's the vulnerability on, and how it also could be potentially remediated. Because, for example, if you're applying to field, and then if you're applying to a company, mostly what they're doing is they're trying to mitigate a vulnerability. It's basically blue stuff of work if you're not entirely doing pen testing. So if you have some knowledge on how something is remediated, how something is patched, etc., I think specific fields would use that information to a lot. And then once again, the ultimate thing is you want to increase your chances of selection, and this is what you'd be wanting to do. The next thing, as we've talked before, what comes in the don'ts field is background research of companies. So once again, what does background research on company mean is, let's say if you're trying to apply to a company, and then they do some sort of cybersecurity solution. You want to know what product they are selling. Is it a it obviously is a cybersecurity, some sort of cybersecurity solution is obviously involved in it. How are they, how did they recently work on some of the major problems that have surfaced recently? For example, we had Log4j attack, and then it was obviously being talked a lot. And so some information on all of these from the company side would always be helpful. And then if you have questions as well, I think it's a definite shoot at the interview if you're having one, because that really shows them that, okay, so you've worked on a product already, you kind of have an knowledge on what it does. And so it would be it would just make you sound so strong in front of other competitors, etc. So I think, yeah, this is a definite do. And so, coming to the interesting section, I think we have resources up here. So, here's basically four resources on web and then two resources on network. Without any order, I think these are some of the things that I always end up to. Like, there are tons and tons of information online. Be it for web or network, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of um, blogs. There's a lot of practice laboratories, etc., etc. But I always, come back to these things, and then they are first one when it comes to web. It's Portspeaker's Web Security Academy. A lot of knowledge. You have laboratories as well, and then you have very concise then necessary information for each vulnerability, and how you can basically perform that, how you can exploit that, exploit a machine using that, and etc., etc. So I think for web, OS web security is genuinely one of the great resources. And up next we have Pentester Lab. Pentester Lab is not entirely free, whereas uh, Portugal's Web Security Academy is completely free. You need not pay a single money. You just need to basically get yourself registered, sign in, and then get started with it. But Pentester Lab is it's a paid subscription sort of a thing. Uh, but yeah, if you're having Netflix or Amazon Prime and all, I think it would also be. I think it would. I think you could definitely do a Pentester Lab sub as well. It's completely useful. Yeah, I've been a user of it for some time, and then I've totally enjoyed how it works, and the amount of information that's in Pentester Lab as well. All the laboratories are super helpful, important, and you could really use it a lot. And then we have bugbountyhunter.com. So I've been using Bug Bounty Hunter as well. Once again, top platform. You basically have an entire lab, not a lab. You basically have an entire situation, and then you have an attack surface. All you need to do is just go in the wild and then explore what different vulnerabilities you can, and then report them. Zishano and his friend, I think Ari, would be the ones who triage your information. And if ever your report is wrong, Zishano is also super kind enough to write to you personally that this is wrong and then this is what you need to do, or just work on this a lot, etc., etc. So yeah, it's super informative and super helpful laboratory or platform to work on. And then at last we have bugbountyhunting.com. So bug bounty hunting is not a uh, platform per se. Bugbountyhunting.com is basically a collection of resources. It's basically a search engine, as they proclaim, for bug bounty hunting. You can find, I think, reports, etc., etc., on a particular topic, write-ups, payloads, a lot of bug bounty tips, etc. So yeah, definitely would recommend this resource a lot. And then upon network, we have hackthebox.eu. Obviously, I think everybody would be in Hack the Box, and also TryAcme that's recently surfaced now. I've been using TryAcme for a lot since it's pretty easy to work on. Everything's super simple and easy to work on. I've found Hack the Box pretty complicated at the start, so personal opinion. But yeah, I think whatever, if you're doing any one, then really helps a lot. So since we've almost come to the end of the talk, I think we still have 3.5 minutes anyway. I thought I would do a Q&A session, but then before that, if I think this is a topic that I want to discuss on, basically not debate exactly, but then there's a lot of dilemma in certificates, as in do you need a specific certificate, an industry reputed certificate to have high chances to working on with a professor or a laboratory, or do you need a particular certificate to get in the field? Well, I think the answer is yes, maybe. but I've never had a certificate. And both of the internships that I did, I think I just showed myself that I would be possible. A certificate probably would have been better, but do I think it's absolutely necessary? I don't think so. But holding one would be definitely helpful, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have a certificate to get selected in a laboratory or a institution. Sorry, a laboratory or an industry related company. So yeah, I think I would be kind of open to a discussion on here. So if you may not think the same, you might think it's absolutely necessary without a certificate. If we have a certificate, there are high chances for us. There are we absolutely require at least a basic certification to get a particular job or etc etc. Uh, um, might be true. But then, since I don't have one, I think I'm open to a discussion. Um, if you want to talk on that, you could very well talk on the chat. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have or do anything. But if not, well, I think we'll move to next section, which is the importance or things that I found. First one is building socials. Well, if you're basically working on things that if you basically let's say if you're doing a try hack me room or if you're doing a hack the box laboratory, you would want to uh, you know tell people that you're doing this etc etc. After you complete a room or a complete path in TSM or not, you have shared this message. And also if you do a box in hack the box, you can share that message to Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. I found Twitter a lot helpful, as in terms of socials. A lot of people I know who I have approached and then who has helped me build my profile. So most of the people here in this session also would be well versed with Twitter and how important it's to security as a whole. So I think it's important to build a social. It might be helpful, and then we need to have a nice resume as well. I use latex basically from overtheleaf.com to curate my resume. You can easily modify it. A lot of predefined templates that can be modified as well. Highly helpful. And up next we have building a GitHub profile as well. For example, certain industries or certain companies to say would first check your GitHub profile if they have a lot of coding or programming stuff to do. So you could always update your tech stack, say what you're doing, have a quick who am I, etc. Whatever information related to coding or building a tool or something, you just update that in your GitHub profile. It's super important. I found it a lot important at least. Next we have referrals. Well, since I'm working in interning at Acadview, I think if you want to have a referral for whatever work that you're doing, I think you could just DM me or something. I'll check your work and then maybe I could escalate if you're really interested to Academy. And then the next one is quick shout out probably. So as to say, I think to myself, because in a couple of days I'll be releasing my blog, and then you could also follow my work in socials as in I post on Twitter, etc. If you like my work, whatever I'm doing on, I basically tweet on tech security, and then life, career, etc. Productivity as well. So if you're somebody who's a lot of interested in these topics, please to support me in my socials and the blog that I am about to create soon. I think that would definitely get a newbie like me get started actually, and then give out a lot of super informative content to you. And also one more resource that I wanted to include, I think I didn't in the presentation. Now that I realize it, this last information, I think I'll probably post this in the chat. So if you're applying, if you're super curious on how you should find information to, you know, find information on what professors that you have to apply to when it comes to research, I think you could use this website. This website, what it does is it has one dedicated section to cybersecurity. You could, if you just click on open that website, you just do a turn all areas off, and then with the information available, all you need to do is basically just do a checkbox of computer security, and then it would show you what are the sorry, computer security. It would show you what are the top institutions that's acclaimed to it, and then you could filter by the rank of institutions in a particular um, geographic. For example, if you want to find the top institutions in Africa, you could. If you want to find top universities and sorry, top professors or unis and institutions in the world, you could. Europe, you could. Asia, you could. Anywhere, you could. So that's something that I've pretty much used for used when I applied to in NASA as well. So yeah, I think that's another super informative resource. So I think yeah, so I think that's it. These are the things that I thought I really want to discuss, because when I started it back, I didn't have somebody who's actually guiding me per se. Uh, I just I think I just built on myself, and then I just wanted to help people like me. Uh, so yeah, that's the goal. I think if you have any questions, feel free to drop by. Oh, I think we have a lot of questions. Ah, yeah. Okay, cool. So first question from Himanshu Johi, student. Cool. Do they ask certification in internship? Well, I think we just discussed on the topic, Himanshu. Um, do they ask certification in internship? Well, not exactly. At least in the places that I interned on, for example, when I interned on us, they didn't ask if I have a certification. What they basically asked is they tested my knowledge on a lot of vulnerabilities or exploits that is known out in the wild. For example, I think I was asked on Eternal Blue, and then what it is, what it does, and then basically when it comes to research, I was also asked on what is lateral movement, etc. Since my research was basically working on threat analysis and also lateral movement detection, so since that was the topic, I think they asked information that's super associated to that. They never asked me if I have an EJPT or an OACP or whatever certification that's out so repeated in the wild. They just tested my knowledge, and I think since I did well, I got selected. And when it comes to industry as well, I never had a discussion on certification. I did a lot of background check, and then I think I whenever when we were having our interview, I just presented and uh, know about their product as well, and then they just got me. They were I think they were impressed with that, and also I was questioned on the OS top 10. I was asked what XSS is, how do you perform, and SQL injection. A lot of questions on SQL injection. So yeah, pretty basic information on that would do good. They never asked me about certification. Cool. I think that works. Second question from Deepak Parmar. Yeah, hi Deepak. As I'm a computer science undergrad, will they ask other computer science stuff other than information security? Well, yes, I think it's not like they're not probably going to ask a lot of in-depth information when it comes to a field. I think if you have a well-known profile itself, for example, if you're doing web pen testing and all, I think if you, and then if you're doing it in a reputed platform, for example, as in HackerOne or Buckroad or Integrity or ESB Hack, etc., I think you could very well use that as a profile. They would not particularly ask stuff that's only related to information security. Mostly, what they're going to test is if you're if you're the person who can help aid them in the work that you're doing. So it's basically not just testing your work. Okay, so that is the intent basically. I think that answers my question. Answers your question. A lot of information on things is super necessary. And then third question again from second question again from Himanshu Jogi. What kind of projects will increase my chances on getting an internship in example? Well, really good question. Thank you for asking. So what kind of projects? Well, when I wanted to get started on research, I just wanted to build stuff mostly stuff that I didn't know how it works or not. For example, I had a project on time-based SQL injection. When I first started reading on it, I didn't know a lot on what that is, etc., etc. So I just started to go out, uh, read a lot about it, and then basically build a tool uh, that resembles whatever the literature that I did is, and then that was such a nice project. So it could, when people were interviewing me, they asked a lot on that, and then was able to explain that pretty well. So any project that's got a lot of security stint to it would do good. For example, you could build a keylogger. If you know how a particular exploit works, you could try build that. A lot of things you could build. You know, Try to build a tool to replicate an attack, etc., etc. So whatever thing works, you could build. All that it needs is a lot of security stint to it, and not just be a super normal developer project. So next question: where can we find professors or company who need an intern? Yeah, a great question, Sahil. So I've put the answer to this question in the chat. You can find a lot of information on research specifically. When it comes to research, you can find information on professors and top institutions at csrankings.com. And when it comes to company, it's out in the wild. I think LinkedIn works, Twitter works. Uh, I don't think I have any other information when it comes to finding information on company. But then primarily I've been using these two only. Next question. I am in high school, so can I apply for internship? Will they accept me? Well, I'm really happy to know that you're from high school, and I don't. Um, I think internship will, for a lot of people, at least for a lot of people like us, internship has been something that's been associated with the academics. For example, um, a lot of tech folks would, I mean, B Tech folks would have internship. That's a must do at the last semester. You have to intern somewhere. Uh, for people like me, 5 years integrated course, we have internships that's must do in 7th semester and 10th semester. So I think since you're largely acclaimed to do that, I mean, since you have to do that, you could very well use that. You could state that I want this intern because it's required, and then I have to. So that's how basically you approach. But you could just try if you're at high school. I mean, you could just say that I'm interested in working on this, and then maybe if they don't have a lot of question around that, if basically the prof or the company you're applying to has a constraint on this, then yeah, very well you could. I think you could just very well go ahead and apply. Uh, uh, what will happen is not going to affect you at a large. You could just continue working. Next question from Shashank Sharma. Hey Nathan, I'm Shashank, currently pursuing MSc Cybersecurity from MIT Jaipur. I'm a bug bounty hunter and a CTF player too. I want to land an internship as a pen tester, but I'm not finding any opportunities. Where can I do now? Well, yeah, good question. When it comes to pen testing, I think some of the top institutions that I know who are doing stuff related to pen testing. One is Red and Traps. Second one is Synac. Third one is you could, if you're doing bug bounty and all, you could build a profile at Buckroad or HackerOne, and then people I think hire from that as well. And then if you just start establishing yourself, be it in LinkedIn or Twitter, if you continuously keep posting information, you would automatically get people from the industry approaching you. But if you have to manually work, all the three reasons that I said works well, and then you could basically do a surfing on LinkedIn. I think that's one. I think that's the only like large scale platform that I can mention. Also, Twitter too. I've known people in Twitter who post positions on field as well as labs as well. So if you just get associated with the right hashtags and right people, you could find a lot of information on Twitter as well. Next question, Ravi Teja. Hi, Ravi. Hey, do you have any university offering for Web3 stuff? Great question, actually. Even I wanted to do something that's related to that. But I don't, from my research or from what I did, I don't think there is a university offering Web3 stuff in masters. Um, as in Web3 is a hit topic, definitely a topic that's around the market now. But then I don't think anybody has taken this to such a large extent and then teach at unis. The only thing that I've seen is the only course or a uni level informative content that I found is at SANS. I think they have a course, but then yeah, we know about SANS, right? Super expensive, etc., etc. So I don't think there's a uni that's offering Web3 stuff in masters. But yeah, if I know, I think I could reach out to you. And then if you know, please reach out to me as well. Uh, would definitely want to check that out. Next question from Olalekan Oluwa. Sorry if I couldn't get your name right. Olalekan. Hi, nice to meet you. First, your question is I just got my IBM Cybersecurity Analyst certification, and then I've been wondering what opportunities I could leverage with that straight away while I could continue learning. As
Nathan,
I think I
sorry
have
to
no prior
interrupt you,
cybersecurity
but
work experience.
Nathan, can you
Yeah,
hear
hello.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Samida.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but we are running out of time. So this is the last question, and maybe from the other questions that are being unanswered till now, they will be get answered in the networking session. Maybe Nathan, you can
Okay, cool.
join the networking session after this talk, and people
Right.
can join you and ask you questions there. So this is the
Right.
last
Okay.
question, guys. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry. If you have any questions, please head over to the launch. I'll be there as well. Answering the last question. Um Olalikan, you've mentioned that you got your cyber analyst certification. I could leverage wherein I could continue learning, and I've been wondering what. Okay, so you've been what? Okay, so great. I think if you have a certification and then you want to leverage the knowledge learned from that certification, I think the best thing to do is Google on the kind of laboratories or kind of people that is associated to what work that what information that you've learned from that particular certification deals with. For example, I don't honestly know what cybersecurity analyst certification is from IBM. If it's basic fundamental knowledge, then you could very well use that anywhere when it comes to security. Uh, yeah, any information would be super helpful. So nothing in particular. Yeah, I'll just probably drop my Twitter and LinkedIn handles. Uh, you could. you could, very well shoot a question to me at Twitter. I'll be always available on Twitter, and then when it comes to LinkedIn, you could find me at LinkedIn. One second, let me just fetch my profile. Yep, I have the link here. So you could find me here on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, you could very well ask me in LinkedIn as well. Yeah, other people who I haven't answered at the Q&A, please head over to the networking space. I'll be answering your questions there. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You've been wonderful audience. Loads of love and appreciation. Yeah, thank you.
Nitin, I think we can go on. There's so many questions coming up, so I think you can answer them. And it was just the last talk, so we don't have the time limit, so you can go on. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, okay, cool. Great. Then I'll just go on maybe. So next question from Prince Sharma. Do you ever had an interview that ended with like, "अरे salary कितना लोगे discuss"? uh, well, no, not actually, Prin. I don't think I've had an interview like that. Uh, 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 I mean, yeah, it's something that straight away shooting at the salary and all. Um, Basically, uh, you know, yeah, a lot funny question. Understood, but no, I haven't had interview as such. Basically, just I've had interviews wherein they just wanted to know a lot about me, what the work that I've been doing, and only after confirming that we've been able to discuss a lot on this stuff actually. So yeah, next thing is I'm researching on ransomware. Wow, great. You session, I big fan already. Can you provide some resource or white paper? Like I'm trying to build some technique for detecting. Well, I think I yeah. So I basically did malware analysis and research sort of boot camp at Pune. I think 2 years back at the ACM, and although I wouldn't have an in-depth knowledge on ransomware, I would have at least might probably have the basic of it. So what we could do is maybe we could take this question ahead to Twitter, and then we could DM. You could just drop a DM, and then I'll be able to answer it there. So last question I think we have from Pranav. I am in 10th. I did complete my CH and I got an internship. So how can I perform best at the internship? Well, first, congratulations to you, Pranav, in being at 10th and then doing CH, getting an intern and all. Big thing. I think somebody already asked before. I think somebody asked, I'm in high school, so can I apply for an internship? Will they accept me? Well, here we have a living example. So, yes, you could very well go and apply. And Pranav, answering to your question, how you can perform best at the internship, well, what I think it's just a do for all internships. What you have to do is stick to your task, do something that's absolutely, don't do something that is absolutely offensive or um, they find something offensive. For example, a lot of companies they have clauses on not doing bug bounty hunting as well. I've heard people tweeting on such stuff. So I think get that thing confirmed with your company. Some companies would say it's okay to work on off office hours. Some wouldn't totally be okay. So respect their policies and then just do the good work that you've been doing there as well. I think that's basically it. Um, not anything, not anything over or lesser. So, yeah, so we have, I don't think we have any more questions, or do we? How do we check?
All
Okay, yeah,
right, Nitin, thank you so much. I think all questions are answered. And if you guys have any more questions, you can always go to the networking space. You can meet Nitin there and ask your questions personally.
great.
And thank you so much, Nitin, for such a great session. We loved it. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming and speaking here for us in
Thank
our
you.
first
Thank you, Samira.
networking session, in our first conference. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, and we'll see you.
Thank you. Would
Bye.
love to do this lots. Yeah. Take care. See ya.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, great people.